Hello guys. Good evening. We want to talk about how you can create a CV. Okay, and I know that there are different types of templates that you can use. Sometimes depending on the country or where you need to use the CV. But this video is focusing on Europe, and actually, we have one of the best CV format in Europe that you can use, which is called the Europass CV. So it's a widely known CV template in Europe. It's widely accepted by by universities, by employers, by different organizations, and it offers a lot of flexibility. So that is why I'm actually recommending this CV template to you. First, for you to create a CV with the Europass template, you can do that right on their website. So this is the home page, okay? And then from this page here, you can actually see some useful information before we go over to how we can actually create a CV, okay? So you can see some notes here saying that it's the best known CV format in Europe. It's widely accepted, it's easy to use, and employers and even educational institutions are very familiar with this CV template. Okay. Here also they are giving you some tips on how to create a good CV. So first they said you need to present your experience clearly. Okay, so you need to highlight examples of your skills and experience that matches the job you're applying for. Okay, so most of the time it's not advisable for you to use the same template or the same CV for all job categories. So you need to always have to make a little bit of editing to suit whatever it is that you want to use the CV for. Okay. Also, you need to tailor your CV. So make sure you update the About Me section to highlight why you are the best person for the job. Okay, so they are not asking you to put your full detailed history, but at least highlight what is important, something that showcases why you are the best. Also, another tip is you have to make it readable, right? So make it very, very easy to read so that whoever picks up the CV can see clearly what exactly you are trying to communicate. Don't use complicated language, don't use bogus statements. Use very clear and simple language. And then it's preferable if you use some strong verbs, okay, like manage, especially when you are describing your past experience and the results that you provided. Okay, so managed, developed, increase. These are the words, or these are the strong verbs that highlight your values and your skills. Okay. Also, when you are making a list of maybe your past experience or your educational history, it's always good to use the reverse chronological order, which means that you have to list the most recent one at the top, okay, followed by the previous ones. And of course, the last tip, polish and fine tune. So check for spelling and grammar mistakes. It doesn't speak well of you if you are making, like silly spelling and grammar mistake in your CV. So your CV is meant to represent you, and it's the first impression that whoever is reviewing it will have about you. Okay. All right. So let's jump right into the template. So right from this home page, this is a website. Okay, it's not just a place to create a CV and then get out of it. Okay, it's a place where you can actually create a profile. You can have an account, and then you can always log in into this account from time to time to create different versions of your CV or to edit an existing CV that you have. And it also has the capacity, or it has a functionality for you to also create even cover letters, okay? But we are focusing on the CV for tonight. So if I click on create your Europass profile, if I click on it here, okay? Now, I already logged in, okay, because I had an existing profile. But imagine that you don't have an existing profile. You would need to first create an account. So with a username, making use of your email account and a password, and then once you finally log in, you can actually create a profile about yourself. So who you are in terms of your biodata, a summary of who you are, and then your past experience in terms of job, your past educational qualifications, your training, your digital skills, your language skills, everything about yourself, okay? And once you already have that profile updated on your profile, okay, then it's easy for you to create a CV, okay? So imagine that now we are using my profile. Okay, I already have a profile here. And imagine that you want to create a CV. Imagine I want to create a CV now. Instead of starting from the scratch, since I already have a profile which I created previously, I can create a CV directly from my profile. Okay, so if I click on start from profile here, now starting from my personal information, another advantage of the Europass template is that it allows you to create a CV from more than 30 different languages. Okay, so it's not only English. So if you are, imagine you are a Dutch speaker or German speaker or a French speaker, you can create CVs in your language. Okay, so we're using English. So first you can select the date format here depending on how and what you want. So I can just leave it as it is here, right? So here you put in your first name. So I'm just using AB. I mean, this is just a sample, right? You put in your last name. Now, the sections that have the red asterisk means that these are the sections that you need to actually complete, but the ones that doesn't have it, it means that they are optional. Okay, now some of the information, even though it's optional, it might be good for you to have it on your CV. Okay, so your date of birth, you don't have to put it, but if you want to put it, that if you think it's important, you can also add it to your CV. All right, your gender, your nationality, your email address. Of course, this, even though it's optional, it's important because the employer or whoever is reviewing your CV, maybe for a job offer, they would need your contact details to reach out to you. So it's always good to put your email address and then your phone number, right? Your address might not be important, but you might want to add your city and then your country of residence. Okay. Yeah. So once we are done with this basic profile, we can move on to the next session, which is your work experience. So here you're going to put the position held, okay, who your employer is, the, the city and the country, and then the dates of the employment. If it's, an employment that is still ongoing, you don't need to put an end date to it. You just have to select this tab here so that they will know that it's an ongoing job. Okay. And then here you can describe, the main activities and your responsibilities. Don't forget, we talked about some key words, some strong verbs that you have to use in your responsibilities, right? And then if you have more than one job experience, you can always add a new one, as much as you want to highlight. Okay. And then you move on to the next one. You add, I mean, using the same format that we used in the work experience, you can also add your education and your training, and you can always add new ones here as well. Okay. So from there, you can now come to your personal skills, starting from your language skills. So you can add your mother tongue, okay? And then for the other language, you need to show your level of proficiency. If it's A1, which is like the beginners, or the A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. Okay, so from A to C, that's from beginners to advanced level. Okay. Next, you need to add your digital skills, and the template is so good because it has actually some preset digital skills that you can add. But if they are not here, you can of course always search for it. So imagine I want to talk about, let's say, data analysis, for example, right? Yeah. So you can find it from the drop down menu you can see here. Okay, so for example, data analysis, data validation, data cleansing, if it fits with my profile, with my digital skills, I can select it and then it appears under here. Okay, and then if I want to pick from these ones, I just click on it and I drag into the box. So you can have as many digital skills as possible, and then if those skills are in different categories, maybe some of them are related with maybe computing, some of them are related with management, that kind of thing, you can actually, so after listing out all your skills at the top here, you can group them into different areas of expertise, right? And then when you are done with all of that, you just click on create and then wait. And here you go. So once you are done, you will have everything that you have actually created. You will have it here. Of course, you can edit, right? You can edit. You can edit whatever it is you have added. For example, if I want to edit my personal, information here, and maybe I want to add my photo, I can just come here to add a picture. I want to add it from my device, maybe from the desktop. Imagine this is my photo here. I can add it. Okay, so let's set. So imagine this is my photo. I just click on save. Yeah, and then my photo appears here. And then if I want to edit my personal information, maybe my first name, my last name, or I want to write a summary about myself, this is always good for you to have like a summary of your profile of who you are, maybe about maybe two, three lines that summarizes, your person, okay, not just what you have done before or your experience, but exactly who you are and why, you think you are the best fit for the role you are applying for. Okay, so you can edit any part of your profile, okay, and just click on save when you are done, right? And then when you are done, that means your profile is updated, and from this updated profile, you can now generate your CV. So to generate your CV, if you come to my library here, okay, as you can see, I had an old CV here, but I mean, let's imagine that there is nothing here. Imagine I want to create a CV. I will just come here. I already have a profile, don't forget. So instead of creating a new CV, since my profile is updated, I just click on start from your profile. Okay. So I just click on continue, and then here I can see my whole profile which I have created previously. Now let's imagine that there are some part of my profile that I don't want to highlight or I don't want to show in my CV. Before I generate the CV, I have the option to deselect them. So let's imagine that I shouldn't remove my education, but let's imagine that I don't want my education to show on my CV. I can just deselect it, and then when I go to the next and I generate the CV, it won't be there, but of course I want to. So I'm just showing you that before you generate the CV from your profile, you can actually remove some part of your profile that are not relevant to the purpose for which you want to use the CV. So if I go to next, it's asking me if I want to edit any information before creating the CV. So imagine that I've already done my editing. I just say no thanks. And then it brings me to this page, which is the last page before the CV is generated. Now, this is more or less like a preview of how the CV is going to look. But on this left hand side, you can see like different designs, okay, which you can choose from. So imagine I want my CV to be like this, or I prefer this, okay, or I prefer this design which looks really fine, or I prefer this other design. So you can change in between these different designs. Okay, so let's come back to this one now. Also, you can choose like a color theme for your CV. So imagine I want this, for example. Okay, you can see that the color has changed for my CV. You can also select the text size, either the small, medium, or the large. The medium is always fine, okay? Now, also, you can see that at the top right corner is showing the Europass, the Europass logo there. If you don't want it to show on your CV, you can remove it here and just click on this option, say no. Also, if you want to add page numbers, just select the option yes, and then you click on next, right? So it's generating the CV, and here we have the CV, okay? So we can name the CV as we want. So imagine the name is Immigrate with Ammy. That's the name of the CV. Now, we can do different things. First, you should save it always. So when you create a new CV, always save it in your library so that next time you can reuse that CV, or if you need to edit it. Okay, so I will save this in my own Europass library so I can see here that it's been saved there. Also, since I want to use it for an application, I also need to download a copy of it. So if I click on download here, you can see that I now have it as a PDF file. If I open it, you can see the CV here. Of course, this is not a complete CV. This is just a demonstration, right? Okay. So this is how you can actually create a very good CV using a Europass template. It's free of charge. It's very flexible. It's widely used. It's like the most common, the best CV format you can use in Europe, and I recommend it for everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.